Hi, welcome to Chad's Silversmithing. Before we get started, I wanted to thank you for visiting my channel and watching this video. It helps me a great deal if you'd hit the like button down below, and if you really like this content and would like to see more of it, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. There's several places you can do that, one in the bottom corner of the video, I believe. So today's topic is going to be to do kind of a retro laser gun or a ray gun that I made a couple weeks ago. My wife liked it and she thought it was cute, so she thought it might make a cute video. So I'm going to try and recreate that one for you today. So let's get going. I'm kind of a science fiction guy, and that's one of my genres that I appreciate. And so occasionally I get a wild hair and I make something sort of science fiction-y. And in my mind I was thinking of pulp science fiction from the 30s and 40s and the zany pictures they'd have on the covers of the books. But so I was trying to kind of come up with something sort of retro looking that looked like a ray gun, and so this is what I came up with, and I thought it came out sort of cool. So I'm going to try and make something similar to this today. You could make all sorts of variations on it. I just kind of chose the pattern at random and went with it, you know. So let's get started on this and see how it goes. So I think I'm going to start with the main part here. I need some thick silver wire, and it looks to be about 12 gauge round wire, and so I'm going to grab some of that. This might be 10 gauge, I'm not sure. I think it might be 10 gauge, but so I need a piece not that long, say an inch. I'm also going to need another piece for the scope up here, and so I'm going to cut another one of these guys. And the way I did this right here is I just wrapped some 20 gauge wire, I think it is, around this thicker piece of wire part of the way, and then we'll solder it on there to get our basic, the bulk of the body of the gun here. First off, I got to get this a little straighter. Make sure this one's relatively straight too. Let me find a little 20 gauge wire. Usually when I'm wrapping wire around something else, I use the needle nose pliers to just kind of hold onto the wire to get it started. And then a lot of times, once you've got things going, I can let go of that with my pliers and just use my fingers now. Cutting them off both at the same side of the coil here, so that when I do solder it on, they'll both be at a place where I can point it, you know, not towards the side here, towards the bottom maybe. Before I do that though, I'm going to get this cleaned up a little bit, and maybe this one still doesn't look very straight to me, so I might need to do a little rebending on him. So let me file these so they have flat ends. So I need a little bit to stick out the back here, so it sticks out beyond where the handle's going to attach, and there's some place to attach the handle to in a ring. So I'm going to leave a little bit sticking out there. Then we can trim this down to whatever length we want after that. So let me cut a little solder. Just wanted to make sure that I get this whole thing fluxed pretty well. Alright, now we'll just pick up a little solder here. Just trying to make sure I get flow all the way through that whole spring with just a little bit so it's even. Next I'm going to work a little bit on the scope, I think, and what I need to do is I need to go in about 1/8 of an inch here. Make a notch all the way around. Do the same thing on the opposite side. Trying to keep it pretty similar as far as the distance from the end. And once I've got a little trench all the way around, I think I'm going to switch to the bastard file so I can angle it a little bit. Basically trying to make it look like it has lenses on either end of the scope here. See what I'm doing there. Let's see if I can find a piece of 18 gauge sheet scrap. Usually have a few little chunks of that laying around. Here's a little bit. If you look at this one, I did kind of a little slanty parallelogram kind of piece to attach the scope, so I'm going to do that. Okay, looks like I still have a little bit of solder up there. Probably should be enough. For the handle, on this one, I had some low dome half round. That was a narrower low dome half round. I think I'm out of that. So I'm going to use a different wire stock. I'll probably just use, this is a little bit of, almost as wide, but 6 gauge half round. So I'll solder some of that back to back to create a similar thing like this. It just won't be quite as wide on this one. So. This is silver, so it's really oxidized. So. Flux those guys and solder them together. I'm going to cut myself a bit more solder. I'm going to add a little bit of solder to get a little bit cleaner solder joint there. So I'm going to have to cut it at an angle like that to get kind of a slope. So rather than file forever, I'm going to do some of the work with these guys. So I want it to meet kind of halfway down the little spirally thing I did around the wire here. So I'm going to cut a little bit of a notch to make this drop down a little bit. Set that aside for a minute with the scope. I wanted to make the little funny things at the front here. And what I did for these is I made some little cups with the dapping block out of some little discs of silver. I cut these out using a disc cutter, which I'll show you some other time. I didn't want to include that in this one because it's kind of a whole separate video. But I'll dap these out with a dapping punch here so that they're kind of more of a cup shape. And I'm going to make a little silver ball and put it in each one of them so it's kind of a little ball with a kind of a radar dish around it. Kind of the look I'm shooting for. So we'll start kind of going, let's see, I'm going to use a basic hammer here. Alright, to make silver balls, get some scrap out of here. always make silver balls on a charcoal block because something about the way the heat characteristics of the charcoal, the bottoms on the balls that you melt on here tend to be nice and flat versus on one of these things where it has a tendency to be kind of concave, which is less desirable than the other way around. Oops. Those 3 cups. And let's make sure I have a little bit of solder here. I think I probably do, but it never hurts to have extra. Okay, now the hard part is getting these all soldered together, lined up. So I'm going to plunk one of them straight down into this magnesia block here. Yeah, I'll get back there. Okay, so this is always the hardest part for me, getting these 3 balls to line up perfectly. So what I did on this time, initially my first try didn't work. I was just trying to plop them on top of each other, and I found that that particular method wasn't working today. So what I did is I pressed 2 of them in here, and then the 3rd one, and then I soldered them together while they were lined up sideways, partially pressed into the softer pad, and that allowed me to get them relatively straight together like that. So, and that's probably, I'm going to attach these onto here too, but I think I need to cut this stem quite a bit shorter. So yeah, I'm going to take some of this off of here. That looks pretty good. So I'm just going to pick solder right there. A little luck, things will go smoothly. Now, maybe put our little scope on here. a look and see where we're at here. Okay, so far so good. Now, I need to add a ring here for a bail. After I do that, I'm going to let it pickle, and then I'm going to do a little bit of filing to like sculpting the handle into kind of a grippy looking handle and make a bail for it. So for this one, I'm just going to do kind of my standard bail that I make for most everything. So you need the 26 gauge sheet. This is 22 gauge. 22 gauge round wire. I'm going to cut a couple pieces just a little bit longer. Want a more detailed explanation of this particular bail, there's already a video up there about this. Might be fun if you're a science fiction fan to try and recreate specific science fiction props from movies. Like, this is kind of a generic-y ray gun retro thing, but you could try to duplicate the blasters from one of the many science fiction franchises, or Marvel things, or there's all sorts of cool things you can make. Okay, now put that through there. I should be able to just solder the bail on there by pick soldering right there, and I don't have to heat the whole thing up, so I don't have to worry about it coming apart or anything. So I will ray gun is pretty much done, except for pickling and maybe some shaping on the handle to make it a little more streamlined looking, like a custom pistol grip. I remembered I forgot to do the trigger guard on the ray gun here, so let's see if I can't throw that on here. Smooth these out a little bit. The easiest way probably is to pick a little solder onto the end of each of these. Okay, and now we'll let that pickle. Why not? Okay, so cleaned it up a little bit with the Dremel. I think I'm going to make the handle kind of go this way, so I'm going to file it. I use the Dremel to make 3 kind of parallel kind of divots in here. So I did a little cleanup with the Dremel and a little more filing on the handle to get it a little more contoury looking. Now I'm just going to pretty much paint this thing black. Whenever you're using nasty chemicals like these oxidizing things, just be very careful. Some of these are pretty toxic. If you lean over and get too close of a sniff on them, sometimes that'll really wake you up. So most of these are carcinogenic, so you need to be a little careful. Okay, so there's my final product for the ray gun. I think the narrower handle still looks okay. I got this a little bit straighter on this one than I did on the original. Okay, well, thanks for watching this video. I appreciate you taking the time to check it out. I'd love to have comments and suggestions for videos in the comments down below the video. And if you'd hit the like button and maybe subscribe to the channel, you'll find all sorts of content like this. So with that being said, thanks for watching and happy silversmithing. Take care.